spoiler warning, Star Wars fans, because we have to talk about the two massive reveals from The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4. Holy cow, some wild stuff is coming to The Mandalorian. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button, and I wanted to remind everybody that we're going to start dropping multiple videos a day here on the channel very soon, so you're going to want to be subscribed. Otherwise, you will certainly miss some of the videos. Okay, so let's get right into this. There are two massive reveals from this episode of The Mandalorian, and before we even get into those two crazy reveals and break down all of the insanity that is going on over there, I just want to make mention of the fact that this episode could have just been a filler episode. It very much just could have been totally irrelevant to otherwise major plot lines or things that are happening in the Star Wars canon. And as opposed to that, this episode was sort of a self-contained adventure that also happened to have two of these insane reveals that people are going to be talking about on social media for the next couple of days leading up to the Ahsoka Tano reveal. This is so crazy because Ahsoka is going to be the thing. Like, we're all so hyped and focused on Ahsoka, and for them to do an episode like this right after name dropping Ahsoka, there was this perceived risk of everybody being let down by this episode. But it's like Favreau and Filoni reached into deep Star Wars lore, reached into the sequel trilogy, reached into anything and everything they could, and gave us this juicy episode. Now, the two big reveals that I'm speaking of are, of course, first, all having to do with the child, the reveal about Dr. Pershing, and the material with the M count being used as a blood transfusion, likely for the creation of Snoke. The other crazy reveal happens at the very end of the episode, where we see Moff Gideon inspecting a battalion of dark troopers. Okay, so let's begin with the big Snoke reveal. Now, I should mention, as of the recording of this video, the jury is still out as far as, is this for sure Snoke? Was this perhaps one of the Palpatine clones or something else? But a lot of fans believe that this was actually Snoke and that this will be connected to the creation of Snoke, and then, of course, the contingency plan that Palpatine had enacted, which was eventually headed towards his eventual resurrection. One of the biggest clues here is the music, which seems to match up with Snoke's theme or the theme that Palpatine had when he was explaining the tragedy of Darth Plagueis to Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. Either way, it is evoking that evil Sith kind of a vibe. Now, I personally didn't mind this at all. I think maybe some fans might have objected to it, fans that maybe didn't really like the sequel trilogy or what have you, and I am interested in what you thought about this, so let us know in the comments section below. But now I want to talk about the Dark Trooper themselves. Now, this is a little bit more conclusive for fans, as there's this feature on Disney Plus that I believe is designed for folks that are blind or that have vision impairment. And there is literally like this voiceover that sort of narrates what is going on in the scenes right over top of the actual sounds and dialogue of the show. And when you put that setting on and watch the ending scene, they literally confirm that he is looking at a Dark Trooper. Here, I'll play it for you right now.
He turns toward a shadowy cubicle where light gleams off a hint of shiny black armor resembling his own. Rows of similar compartments sprawl throughout the bay, with an engineer in white coveralls tending to immobilized dark troopers contained within.
Now, there were a lot of astute fans that watched our live stream like right after the episode aired, which, by the way, we do live streams like right after the episodes come out, usually like 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday mornings over on our live streaming channel. Go check those out. Those are always a great time. But a lot of fans did point out that they thought that was the Dark Trooper. And I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with the Dark Trooper myself, but what we talked about last night with the fans and after a little bit of Googling, it would appear that these are troopers that are used in Legends and they have different iterations. I believe they switch between being just droids to being these like droid clone hybrids to then going back to just being droids that are heavily fortified. Again, I'm not super familiar with these troopers, but they look friggin' intimidating as all get out. And I believe the whole point here is that Moff Gideon has upgraded and these troopers are really going to throw a wrench into things. So those are the two big reveals as far as an explanation and what fans have deciphered so far. But now let me give you my own personal speculation about what I think is going on with these and why I think these reveals are so important. Okay, so connecting Moff Gideon potentially to Snoke, the creation of Snoke, the Emperor's big contingent plan, and the eventual, resurrection of him through the clone body in episode 9. That is a very bold choice by Favreau and Filoni. It shows you a couple of different things. I mean, I think number one, it should show that all of these ridiculous rumors and reports that Lucasfilm is going to retcon the sequel trilogy, that is crazy, guys. It was never true. It's never, ever going to happen. If anything, they're just going to integrate the sequel trilogy into what they're doing now and try to improve the quality of the sequel trilogy. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm saying that's what they're going to do. They're not going to give up on it. And for me personally, with this connection to Snoke and to the Palpatine thing, I didn't feel like it was forced. I actually felt like it was interesting. I want to see how the future of the show could play into that. And there are a couple of interesting characters that could connect to this. Most important for me is Ahsoka. Now, I've talked about this before, and I will be doing a lot of videos on Ahsoka leading up to her appearance and then after the appearance, just breaking down everything. It's going to be so crazy. But one of the big questions with Ahsoka with regards to the sequels is, why do we hear her voice with all of the Jedi at the end of episode 9, and where was she that entire time? And one of the things that's kind of confusing about this is we'd assumed, okay, she's possibly dead, meaning she's just with the Jedi and she shows back up. But Filoni kind of mentioned on Twitter and teased out that Ahsoka's actually not dead during the events of Rise of Skywalker, and she's not dead post Rise of Skywalker. So what that means is that Ahsoka is able to aid Rey as a Jedi living during the events of Rise of Skywalker, which is crazy, like on its own. But is it possible that Ahsoka had knowledge of Palpatine's eventual plan and that Ahsoka was focused on trying to prevent it herself? Okay. And so basically, like, this is the way you might think of the timeline. You'll have the sequels where Luke Skywalker is, in exile after failing, with Ben. Leia is after rebuilding the New Republic, is out there trying to convince the Republic and other people that this new First Order thing is a serious threat. Okay, so she's doing all of that. Our main heroes are wrapped up in what they were doing in the sequel trilogy. Meanwhile, Ahsoka, the Ghost Crew, and some other people, including maybe Mando, are out there trying to shut down Palpatine's plans in the Outer Rim and in the unknown regions. That is really cool and could possibly be a really interesting way to sort of look back at that time period. I had this other sort of weird theory where, what if Ahsoka and Luke actually do meet during this time? And if Luke's attitude is still that he shouldn't be starting a Jedi Order, what if Ahsoka agrees with him, and after what happened with Anakin, she doesn't trust Skywalkers anymore? And what if Ahsoka is building her own Jedi Order sort of separate to what Luke is doing, just in case something like a Ben Solo situation was going to happen again? I guess basically what I'm saying is, as a Star Wars fan, I'm still interested in how this all fits together. And although the quality of the films for the sequel trilogy wasn't up to par, and I think there's, a lot of discussion has been had about that, obviously, I still think as a Star Wars fan, it is interesting to have a great understanding of what happened leading up to that, what happened with all the main players during that, and that'll help for speculation as we go past that story in Star Wars, which we eventually will do. Okay, now as far as the Dark Troopers are concerned, again, I don't have a lot of firsthand knowledge of what they were in Legends, how dope they were. I assume they were awesome. People were ecstatic talking about this in the chat last night, and Al Schuler, who usually co-hosts those streams with me, man, he got me so hyped thinking about this and talking about this, because the prospect of these crazy troopers that may or may not have force sensitivity, again, we don't necessarily know what Baby Yoda's blood was being used for completely. It could have been all Snoke, or it also could have been used to try to make these new troopers. We don't know, but let's just assume these troopers are going to be the craziest, most advanced troopers we've ever seen. Why is this important? Well, we've just seen for 4 episodes how Din Djarin and all these other Mandalorians, including Bo-Katan, are like Terminators. They can't be stopped. They're going through the Imperials like a hot knife through butter. There's no challenge there. And we're actually about to even get some Jedi and other very capable warriors like a Sabine Wren, right? So how could they possibly set up a challenge for these characters once you introduce the Jedi? Well, it's obvious. These troopers are the way to do it. So the Dark Troopers are now probably going to play a role even in episode 5, right? You might see Jedi fighting with Din Djarin against these troopers and against Moff Gideon. Like, this is mind-blowing stuff, and it's funny to me because, man, as of right now, right, like the parallel that I have, the comparison I have is to the Sith troopers. The Sith troopers it was quietly one of the most disappointing aspects of Rise of Skywalker for me personally, because the Sith troopers were this big thing for San Diego Comic-Con. And they look awesome, and I love the design, and I was just hoping this wasn't going to be one of those classic Star Wars situations where they are just for merchandising and they do nothing in the film. I was like, no, they're going to have an impact. It's going to be dope. Can't wait to see them. And they did nothing in the movie. It really upset me, okay? And so now we're getting this tease of these Dark Troopers, right? Do we really think that Filoni and Favreau are going to do the same thing and just not use these troopers at all? I think the opposite. I think we're going to see these things go crazy. We're going to buy the toys. We're going to love it. We're going to think this is amazing. And this is the energy that Star Wars needs. This is how you get us all back on track. You just start winning, giving the fans what they want. I thought that this episode was brilliant. On its face value, it's a really good story. I thought Carl Weathers did a great job, but it also drops in these crazy reveals that build in just this deeper connective tissue and lore. This is very exciting. And so that's why I'm so excited about the Dark Trooper, and why I'm so excited about the tie-ins to Snoke. And now let's shout out Jack Feliciano. Yes, indeed, Carnage first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man number 360. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, how long was the sentence given to the Mithril by Grief Karga in this episode? If you like this video, make sure you drop a like on it. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, you're definitely going to want to do that, or you will miss future videos. If you're enjoying the content over here, you will absolutely love the live streams we do straight from Nerdvengers Tower, Monday through Friday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.